We do this work out of what? We do this work out of what? We are engaging in what kind of action? In actions we do non-engagement and non-compliance. Great. All right. I'm hitting you. All right. So if what happens when someone gets tear gassed or pepper spray? How do you care for them? Give them instructions. Treat them like a child. You want them to hold their heads back, and then you want the flushing out that way. Let's try it. Heads back, flushing out. In an action, you need three components. You need medics, say medic. You need lawyers, legal observers, say lawyers. And you need social media. Why do you need social media? Documentation. They lie, right? So they'll lie and say, we didn't shoot no tear gas. And right? So you need those three things. All right, where are my lawyers? My lawyers can come on up. Now, we're going to do something, and they're going to explain to you how much trouble. Neil and John. All right? So Neil and John, they're the police. All right? So I'm protesting. And you remember we talked about verbal cues and physical cues, right? So I'm protesting, right? And so they can come, right? So typically they give a call. They say this, please disperse immediately or you'll be subject to arrest and or other action. The other and or other action always fucks me up. You know, this is a little too generic for me. This is too broad of a range. So they could say, get up. Get up. That's one, right? I would get up and I would go, right? One is I don't move unless they give me a physical cue, which is, right? So they touch me, I go, right? That's another one, right? Part of actions oftentimes is time. You want to delay the process as long as you can, right? So one way to do that is to go limp, right? So when you go limp, you're going to hold your head in your chest to protect your neck. All right, so they tell me to get up. Get up. I'm not getting up. And then I just go limp. Right? Which makes it's just going to take a while for them to get me, right? To move me. And it slows the process up. Because time is of the essence. It's about blocking systems and slowing them down. Now, dear lawyers, if I go limp, tell them what could happen.
Well, you go limp, you're going to... If y'all go limp, that's the right thing to do. They will drag you away. You know, hopefully they won't hurt you. But do not resist arrest. That's where you run into trouble. So, as the Reverend talked about here, you've got to, you're here to create a drama. You're here to move the movement. You're here to do something to cause attention to the movement and move it forward. So you want to go limp, you remain longer, and you cause more attention to yourself. But do not resist arrest. They will drag you away. You can say, "Am I free to go?" Obviously, you're not at that point. But that's the first question. I'm going to have 4 questions, 4 things that you all are going to remember. And as the Reverend talks about, you repeat them after me. Am I free to go?
Am I free to go?
Okay, so no, you're not. You're being dragged away. So then you have 3 things to remember at that point. 1 down, 3 to go. The next one is, I'm exercising my right to remain silent. Now this is really important. When you say that and when you do it, be silent. You don't want to talk about anybody or anything. They're going to try to get in your head. They're going to try to get something out of you, more information. You never know how a little piece of information can be used against your fellow protesters. You know, maybe they just needed the color of somebody, maybe they had somebody's clothes, they had their facial recognition, they just needed one more piece of information. You give it to them, your fellow protesters arrested as well. You don't give anything. You're here, your next effort here is to get out, okay? Unless, like we did in WTO protests, your effort was to get in and clog the courts. Different issue. But otherwise, you want to get out and protest again. You want to get out and move the movement again. So after you're exercising your right to remain silent, you remain silent except for the next thing. And then you say, I would like to call my lawyer. One more time, because I like hearing the word lawyer. Now, how do you know your lawyer's number? Most of you don't have a lawyer, probably, right? So before the protest, take a Sharpie, go ahead and pass it around, and you write the number on your forearm. And before you go to any protest, in addition to all the things that the Reverend and the medic has told you, you write your number on your forearm, because you can't make the telephone call unless you have the number. The number is 416-833-6137. Now these are 24-hour lawyers who are there waiting for a protest. They're dedicated to this effort, and they'll answer your call and they'll line you up with a lawyer.
Can you repeat that number?
Yes, I sure will. 416-833-6137. So I see some of you putting this into your cell phone. They can take your cell phone away. They can also be really careful when you go to a protest that you take away your thumbprint recognition, you take away your facial recognition, you close that stuff down, and you put a password in your phone. Because otherwise they will search your phone. They will look at whatever text comes in. Make sure your texts are not coming through on a regular basis, because they will just set it on the table and they'll look at everything that's going on with you. So keep yourself private, think ahead of this, write your name down. The third one, so you've got, the third one is, I do not consent to a search. Let's hear that one.
I do not consent to a search.
Okay, so they can't search your person. They might, but you keep saying that, okay? You let them know that you do not consent to a search. You do not consent to a search of your phone. You do not consent to a search of your person, your car if there is one, your backpack. You do not consent to a search. With those 3 things, your arm. If you have a cell phone, take pictures like they were saying. Make sure you record all of this. Make sure you're taking pictures. Get some information of anybody arresting you if you can. Get their badge number, get their name, remember that, and you're going to tell that to whom? Your lawyers. Right? Okay, so let's go through the 4 things one more time, and then I'm going to hand this over to Brandon. My name is Dan Clarkson. I first tasted tear gas in People's Park in Berkeley in 1969, and was instrumental in the WTO protests. Yes.
Are EMTs allowed to search you or other first responders?
EMTs, they're going to, as you heard earlier, they're going to ask you if you want to be searched. They're going to ask for consent every step of the way. And if they don't, they're not doing the right thing. So, okay, so first of all, am I free to leave?
Am I free to leave?
I'd like to exercise my right to remain silent. I'd like to call my lawyer. And where do you find that? Okay. And the third one is, I do not consent to a search.
I do not consent to a search.
You all are doing amazing things. This has been a long time coming. Since the 1865 that today celebrates, we've taken a lot of steps. This time is a real giant step. It really feels like a big step. Keep the pressure on, keep up the great work, and protest.
Yeah.
I, unlike Dan, don't like the word lawyer. Lawyers talk, you know, we end up being hogging the spotlight a lot. I think that the question that I wanted to address that the Reverend asked was about what happens if you go limp. And what they can do is up your charges. So you can go from having like a pedestrian interference charge, which is a simple misdemeanor, to having an obstruction of justice charge or resisting arrest charge, even from going limp. So every decision that you make out here can have legal consequences. That does not mean that you should not make those decisions. Just you have to understand that there are risks with that. But we are all stronger together. The more people that act together, the more difficult it is for the cops to arrest you, to be prosecuted. So it is not to say, not to scare anybody, but that it is also, it is a tactic that they use to prevent you from taking these actions, to disrupt the system as it exists, to do these things. It's a form of state-sanctioned terror, frankly, to prevent militant, nonviolent civil disobedience. So I think that's the question I think that you're asking, and I think that yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Also, you know, I'm a Generation Xer, which means I don't do feelings. I press them deep down, and I give you Tupac and Kurt Cobain. You're welcome. But also, generationally, right? Folks really like decentralization, right? Right? That millennial and Z, y'all all in that non-hierarchical stuff. I'm into hierarchy because I'm old. Right? So, how many of you made some rice? So for every 1 cup of rice, you need 2 cups of water, right? Yeah. The higher level of the decentralization, the higher level of the discipline. Say that with me. The higher level of the decentralization, the higher level of the discipline. So if I want if the old black dudes who wear dress boots and a sweatsuit contingency decides that they're going to do an action, they need to tell the medics, they need to tell social media, and they need to tell the lawyer, so it does not strain your infrastructure. Right? So you can have your little, you know, old man with boots and sweatsuit caucus, and y'all can run an action. But you need lawyers, medics, because you don't want to strain the infrastructure, right? Because that's very important. So the higher level of the decentralization, you must have higher levels of discipline. It is extremely important. You don't want to strain it.